What's going on, everybody? So this weekend we are putting the shell back on the frame. We're putting the subfloor in. We're doing all of that. I am so excited to finally be at this place where I can be putting it back together and getting a floor in to actually stand on and start moving forward with a lot of the other stuff. I don't know if you can tell now, but I am like drenched in sweat. It's only about 11 o'clock and I'm already sweating like crazy because it's hot. It is definitely summer in Texas, and I'm grateful to have the sun. We've been having a lot of rain, and so it's been making it really difficult to actually get to this point. And so we now have like a 2 or 3 week stretch of no rain in the forecast, just sun. There's a slight chance it might rain a little bit Sunday night, so hopefully that'll be after we get it all done. But I really needed a good stretch to get a lot of the, to get the shell on, to get the subfloor in, obviously, and then get stuff sealed up after that. I'm going to be, obviously covering some places just if it rains Sunday night. But I really needed this good weather, and it's here. It's a little hot, but that's just part of living in Texas. So I have most of the plywood cut, and I have it coated in the epoxy like I showed you in a previous video of the wood that we selected and all of that kind of stuff, and fitting it in the curves. So for that information, you can check out that video. It's going to be linked below. And then the next step is going to be to put the insulation in the underbelly to get that all insulated. And I'm going to be doing another full video on the insulation that I'm using, why I chose it, whenever I do the wall insulation. Basically, I'm going to be using rock or mineral wool insulation, and I just think that that's going to be the best for this application, for what we're doing with the coffee shop. I think it's a really good choice in general for an Airstream, and I'll go into more details on that in the full insulation and wall install video, so that's coming up. So we got a lot to get done this weekend, so I'm gonna get rocking and rolling on it. So this is the stuff I'm using, the Owens Coring Thermofiber Fire and Sound Guard mineral wool, and it's really pretty easy to put in. I did the back section there, and it's not quite like fiberglass where you feel like you're dying whenever you use it, and so I like that about it. Crazy how much it expands when you open the container. And one of the things that's great about this is the pieces are relatively kind of solid in one piece. This one kind of came apart a little bit as I say that, of course. And so it's easier to install, and you can just use a regular knife to cut it. So I'm basically just laying it in there. Stick that segment back in there. And you want to make sure it's tight and nice and compressed in there. But I'm laying it in there, and then you can just use a regular, I'm just using just a flat straight blade knife. You can just cut right through it. So I find it to be easier than working with the fiberglass and any of that kind of stuff. So I'm a big fan. And we're just going to continue putting it in here. And there is a spot right here that I don't have the belly pan on. That is where the jacks are that are holding the frame up. And so it's only about, I think, 2 or 3 feet wide. And so whenever I get the new axles and the wheels and everything on it, then I'll be able to put that piece in and just, basically shove the insulation up in there. So, and then the front section is where the spare tire goes. And so you basically just have a piece of aluminum on the top of the frame that the subfloor sits down on, and there's no insulation up there. So with the belly pan in and the insulation in, the next thing is going to be to position the subfloor and start to get that centered up and get an idea of where all that's going to start to bolt down. I got that front piece in because I had to support the front of the Airstream to move my pull jacks. There's one kind of in the frame right there, but they were up here supporting where this bar is right here. And I have secondary jacking positions in the shell for the reason of whenever I was going to put the subfloor in, I was basically going to put that front piece in, support it, move the jacks, put down the new piece of subfloor, get all that set in and centered up, and then move the pole jacks back over there to where they're now on the floor, so then I could put the rest of the floor in and lower the shell down much easier that way. There's lots of different ways that you can do it. This is just kind of what I came up with, and I think that it's going to work out good. Obviously, I've already moved them, and so that part works. Now, since pretty much everything is brand new, all of my C-channel is new. The frame, I welded up most of the holes because a lot of places there was double holes, but I welded up all the holes in the outriggers. So I'm really not fighting with anything to line up the holes originally except for just that plate in the front, but that's going to line up with the front piece, and so that won't really be too big of an issue there. Once I get the Airstream down and in position and everything, before I start to bolt everything down, I'm going to position that piece, make sure that all lines up, and just move the shell at all if need be. So all of my wood is cut to the width that it's supposed to be, and so I'm basically just going to center it up on the frame, put it all down, and then put the C-channel on, and then it will be able to drop right down onto it, and hopefully it'll go just as smoothly as I described it. But since things don't usually go that way, I have a good amount of time allocated this weekend to be able to get everything done. I got some people coming over tomorrow to help really with the final kind of lowering and riveting everything all back together. So I'm going to have some extra hands, and so this thing should be together this weekend. And there was my phone. And so I'm excited. I'm ready to have a floor in this. I'm ready to have this shell actually on and not have to be a little stressed out during storms here in Texas. We have it really secure, but still it has a little bit of movement still to it, and it just always makes me nervous. The last thing I would want, I've seen several Airstreams where people had taken the shells off and then they had storms roll through and it ended up actually destroying it, and they just had to abandon the project basically. So glad that didn't happen, and I think we're in the clear now, so we're going to just move forward. So from just eyeballing it, whenever I put it in there, I have it literally dead on centered. So, not too bad. Okay, so I got these in here. I need to scoot this one back just a little bit and put some of the screws. These are like self-tapping screws that hold the subfloor down, and they just go into these frame rails, and then you obviously have your outrigger bolts that hold the seat channel and all that stuff together. I got these from Vintage Trailer Supply. They have the original manufacturer ones, and so I'm going to drill just a little pilot hole to get it started, make it a little easier on it, and then put a couple in up there just to get it in place. Everything is lined up good, but you just never know. Once I get the shell kind of down on the fitment stage, I may realize that something needs to move. I really hope not, but I don't want to completely bolt the thing all the way down and then go, oh wait, something's wrong, and have to pull it all out and have a bunch of extra holes. So I'm probably going to put about 2 to 4 just to hold it in place, and then we'll just continue. Oh no, falling over. We'll continue putting in pieces. I got this in, and then I'll move the jacks back. Then we'll just move forward from there. So this is the fun part. All right, and that one is bolted in. So I'm just going to kind of repeat that. I'm going to move this one back in place, and then I'm going to reposition the jacks and just continue putting boards down. So it's day 2 of the shell drop, and it is coming together really well. I have it about halfway in here. This weekend, me and Lauren have had time where the boys are at the grandparents' house, so we've been trying to kind of find that balance of actually spending time with each other and finishing this up. So we went to Texas de Brazil last night, one of our absolute favorite places. If you haven't ever been to a Brazilian churrascaria, you have to go. And if you don't know what that is, you definitely have to go. It's basically they just walk around with meat on a sword, and you can have as much as you want. And so we just go and get into a meat coma, and it's fantastic. So it's been an awesome weekend. Today I am racing the clock because the forecast changed a little bit, and now it's looking like there's a possibility of thunderstorms around 3. So I have about 4 hours, and there's still quite a bit to do. So I have to very quickly get the floor in and get it down and secured, and then get as much of the Airstream covered. And I have a whole bunch of crash wrap and stuff that I'm going to use to cover all the holes and stuff to keep it secure. I was wanting to have more time today to put some more windows in and get more of that stuff sealed up, but I'll just have to wrap it and it'll be fine. And again, like the wood's sealed with epoxy, so if a little bit of water gets on it, it's definitely not going to cause any issues. That's the whole point of the reason for doing all of this, but obviously want to avoid any water getting in here. So we are going to get to it and just start busting it. So for the wheel wells, I'm just placing the boards in and then basically tracing where the cut needs to be. I'm going to be fabricating my own wheel well tubs, and so it doesn't have to be like it was originally, where it was actually a piece of C-channel. Since the outriggers are out, moved out a little bit further to fit the wheel and tire package that I'm doing. Obviously, I'm going to need to fabricate new wheel wells because the other ones wouldn't fit. It's about an inch and a half difference. So basically just tracing it, and then we'll pull the piece out and cut it. So we had just a tiny drizzle come through. Luckily I had most of the wood in and everything was covered, and I was able to wipe it down pretty quick, so it only rained for maybe like 5 or 10 minutes. So the next thing I need to do is cut all the C-channel to size. I got all new C-channel, and that is what holds the floor and the shell, to the frame. And basically the wood goes in there, and then the ribs come down on it, and then you rivet the body to this part right here. And so I need to cut all these to size, and then they're going in. All of the original stuff was totally trashed. Where the outriggers were, it basically had corroded away to where there was holes, and essentially the shell was hardly hanging on. So if you're doing a restoration like this, don't just like replace the floors and don't check your C-channel. I would definitely do a frame off restoration if you have any floor damage like this, because odds are you could have damage to your C-channel. So we're gonna get these cut and start putting them in. Whew. Well, it is just about ready to bring the shell down and get it officially attached. I've been waiting for this moment for such a long time, and I'm so excited. So I have all the C-channel installed, the wood's all in and partially bolted down. We have everything pretty much ready to go. The next thing is going to be just to, I'm going to clean up a little spot over here where there's some sealant that I didn't get. But then we're basically just going to lower it, remove this brace in here. I had to put the brace back in because it started to get a little windy. We had some storms that went just past us. And the storms were really bad. They had like 70-mile-an-hour winds. So we got a little bit of wind and we threw that back in there. And everything's good, but we're gonna pull that out. It's calm now, we're all good, we're in the clear. And so we're gonna bring that out and lower it down and we'll be ready to rock and roll. All right, so in that last clip, you probably saw that we were putting the shell down onto the frame and with subfloor in and everything. Well, this might be a theme throughout this project as I am frantically rushing to get the thing done by September 2nd, but I wasn't able to really finish the in-depth filming of buttoning it all up just because I was rushing to get it back together. We had, another bit of rain in the forecast and just that kind of stuff because Texas was like super unpredictable this year. That day, it was insane. Like the storm that came through, it actually went through Dallas and it had like 70-mile-an-hour winds. That's where the crane actually got knocked over and fell on that apartment complex. It was really insane. And luckily it didn't hit us, but we did get some wind from that, and that kind of got a little scary during the day whenever we were doing that because we had to put bracing back in and stuff, but everything was good. So no worries there. But because we got behind and because I'm just trying to get this thing done as quickly as possible, I didn't show the last few things, so I'm going to kind of go through them, show you guys what the subfloor looks. You'll see a little bit into the future as I have more stuff done in here, perhaps. But yeah. So from there, once you get the shell on, then the next step is basically to make sure everything lines up right, and then put the bolts through the outriggers and through, basically it goes through the C-channel, through the subfloor, and through the outrigger. And I used 1/4-inch stainless steel bolts with locking nuts on them and stuff, and I wanted to go stainless because, well, just in case leaks, and it's just one less thing that can rust. So you do that, and then you do screws as well in through the C-channel into the wood. You bolt the floor the rest of the way down, and then there's 2 big bolts in both the front and the back, and I used 1/2-inch bolts for those, and those go through the C-channel, through the through the frame, and through the subfloor, and that really adds a lot of structure to the front and the back. And so once you get that done, I mean, it's pretty much secure from that point. Oh wait, yeah, and then riveting the outside skins to the C-channel. So I'm gonna show all of those spots and I still have one section that I haven't added the belly wrap to, so it's still exposed because I need to put the tanks in it, the holding tank, and have the drain and everything, because the holding tanks are going to go inside so that you can access them and inspect them and all that good stuff. So we're going to go look at all that. Okay, here you can see there's one of the outrigger bolts, and then I think it's right next to it, yeah. Right next to it is one of the, just the regular screws that attaches to the subfloor. And then you can see where it's buck riveted. And then those pop rivets are from the belly wrap. So that's all new. There's no additional holes. It looks a lot cleaner, a lot better. So, yes. And I'm going to go show from the underside as well. And then here they are from the underside. And you can see that it goes through the outriggers and it's bolted. You use long bolts just so that it could go all the way. They were long bolts from the factory, and so I just basically emulated that. Just wanted to keep it the same. I don't think it really matters. It makes it easier to kind of get them through and get the bolts on and everything, or the nuts on and everything. So, yep. So that's how I put the subfloor and the shell back on. This was a very big project. Glad to have that behind me. And as you can see, looking behind me, there's been quite a bit of progress that's gone on. I'm not going to show you from any different angles because all of that exciting stuff is coming up soon. So if you haven't already, I would love it if you would subscribe to our channel, like below, check out our social links, go follow us on Instagram and Facebook. I'm trying to keep up on there. Trying to keep up everywhere, but I really just need to get this thing done. That's what's most important. So, but have an awesome week, and we will hopefully see you next week.